Welcome back to Antiques Roadshow. We're here with Catherine, who's brought an antique shawl. Tell us what you know about the shawl.
Well, my great-great-grandmother, Elaine Holland, knitted it by hand when she was just a girl in the 1850s. Then in the 1860s, when she was married, her husband was drafted into the Civil War.
Well, we don't need your whole family history. Just talk about the shawl.
Okay. Well, we think that it was made in Massachusetts, where Elaine was born and where she lived after she was married. Then when her husband was drafted into the war, she sent the shawl with him for good luck.
All right. I don't know why people don't understand this. But the family history surrounding the antique has no bearing whatsoever on its value. Let's just focus on the shawl.
Okay. Well, she was very worried about him, and sometimes she didn't hear from him for months at a time. And it turned out that he did make it through the war, but he had been shot in the leg and wounded very badly, and that he had used the shot as a tourniquet till he was able to get to the doctor.
Jesus Christ.
And, you know, she didn't hear from him for months at a time because he was in this military hospital, but she never gave up hope. And finally, the war ended and he made it home, and she just broke down with happiness. And she was elated, and he gave the shawl back to her, and she wore it every day for the rest of her life as a token of her faith. And it's been in our family ever since.
Great. So let's begin. To start with, this style of shawl was very common in the mid-1800s amongst families of low station. The impoverished, the homeless, the disgraced. We can see here that the pattern is some primitive attempt at a Buckhorst pattern, which was typically taught to slow children or the mentally disabled, mostly to keep them occupied. Now, if we look closely, we can tell that even this simplest of patterns proved too difficult nonetheless for this particular knitter, your great-great-grandmother. If you look even closer here, at this point you see that another knitter took over for about an hour or so. And then we return to the tangled, sputtering strings of the dullard, your great-great-grandmother. Now, if we look very close here to the actual makeup of the shawl, we see that it's made from the dirtiest of weed cotton. It's a subclass of cotton popular amongst thieves and scoundrels. And of course, that brings us to the fringe. Now, this fringe is actually made from jackal hair. Now, members of the lower castes, such as your great-great-grandmother, would frequently trespass into neighboring fields, scrounge about like beasts, gleaning lumps and clumps of jackal hair, and then scramble back to their dirty hovels like spiders. Once there, they would chew on the jackal hair until they removed all of its natural grit, and it could be spun into a string, which was then simply knotted into what's called fool's fringe, which is exactly what we have adorning this shawl here. It is worth literally nothing at all.